I invite you to listen to a story with an unexpected and extraordinary finale, where you can never be completely sure who is your friend and who is your enemy. My new original story on the Purple Heart Stories channel, and support with a like and subscription if you enjoy it. The Death Auction. My name is Jake Mason. I'm 36 years old, and exactly 1 year ago I died. At least that's what the whole world thinks, including my wife Catherine. Her honey-colored hair now falls on another man's shoulders, and her kisses, which used to make my head spin, now belong to the man I was supposed to kill a year ago. Vincent Craig, arms dealer, former Special Forces colonel, the target of my last mission. Now he's my rival in a game where my life is at stake. I regain consciousness with hellish pain in the back of my head and a metallic taste in my mouth. My hands are firmly chained to the armrests of a steel chair, and right in front of me is a huge monitor showing the impossible. My wife Catherine, in a snow-white wedding dress, reciting wedding vows to another man. Her eyes are shining, but something's wrong in them. Lot number 27. A mechanical voice announces from the speakers as the bids climb on the electronic board. The lot is me. They call this an auction, but it's a slaughter. Consciousness returns in painful jolts, as if someone were methodically hitting the most sensitive spot in my brain with a hammer. First, a humming emptiness, like an echo in an abandoned concert hall. Then flickering sparks under my eyelids, like miniature aurora borealis trapped in my skull. And finally, cold. Such piercing, sobering cold from the metal chair I'm chained to that I want to scream from the sudden shock. I open my eyes. The sharp light cuts them like a knife, making me squint until my pupils adapt to the brightness. I blink once, twice. The room with metal walls gradually comes into focus, like an old photograph in Developer. Soundproofing, I've seen plenty of these over the years in service. The walls are covered with special sound-absorbing material, as if a black hole swallowing light. The mirror wall opposite surely conceals observers as fake as a used car salesman's smile. They sit behind it, evaluating me like cattle at a fair. A classic interrogation room, only instead of a recording desk, there's a plasma screen covering the entire wall in front of me, gaping like a black void. I try to move, and immediately feel the icy embrace of titanium handcuffs firmly fixing my wrists to the armrests. They cling to my skin like leeches unwilling to release their victim. A pointless attempt to move them only chafes the skin red bright, signal red, like an SOS flag on a ship in distress. My mouth is dry as if I'd swallowed Sahara Desert sand. My tongue is swollen like a dead fish washed ashore by the tide. The last thing I remember, the roof of an abandoned Detroit factory, perfect position for a shot, sudden noise behind, lightning fast turn, short but fierce fight, then electric shock and complete darkness as if someone had flicked a switch somewhere in my head. Damn, how long ago was that? Judging by how I feel, I could have been unconscious for several hours or several days, all sense of time completely lost. Pain in the back of my head pulses in time with my heartbeat, creating a devilish duet. On my chest and temples, I feel the sticky surface of medical sensors. They've attached themselves to me like parasites. Monitors beside the chair show my vital signs, pulse jumping like crazy, blood pressure spiking, breathing rate betraying my agitation. Someone is extremely interested in keeping me alive, at least for now. Chills run through my body in waves, not just from fear, but from the real cold in the room. Deliberately lowered temperature, classic disorientation method from interrogation manuals. Seems like 15 degrees Celsius, no more. Enough to maintain discomfort. Whoever's holding me here has clearly read the right books. As my gaze wanders around the room, hunting for details, I notice characteristic features of the room. Hexagonal bolts of special shape on the ventilation grill, standard for Cold War military bunkers. Specific shade of metal walls, government class, classified protection. Type of overhead lights, model discontinued 10 years ago but still used in certain special facilities. Every detail fits into the puzzle. Military facility, more precisely former military facility, converted for private use. In our unit, we captured about a dozen of these during border territory sweeps, old CIA bunkers, secret laboratories, black sites for interrogations. But this is clearly not a standard CIA or military intelligence interrogation. Too personalized, too expensive. With each second my brain processes information better, like an old computer loading system after a long sleep, and awareness of what's happening slowly seeps into consciousness. Drop by drop, I've been kidnapped. And judging by the quality of equipment and security level, big money is behind me. Very big money. Hey, I try to shout, but only a hoarse whisper comes out like a heavy smoker in the morning. Anyone. The only response is the monotonous hum of the ventilation system and the steady ticking of invisible clocks somewhere behind the wall, specifically installed to create a sense of time counting down, which I might have almost none left. Standard psychological pressure method: make them wait, build up a sense of helplessness and isolation. But they don't know who they're dealing with. 10 years in the Ghosts Special Unit taught me to wait for hours, days, without movement, almost without breathing. A sniper is above all patience. I can lie for 24 hours in a muddy puddle just to see the target in the scope for a fraction of a second. I force myself to breathe deeply, slowing my pulse. Panic is a privilege of civilians. I must maintain clarity of thought, analyze the situation, look for weak points. Suddenly the screen before my face flickers and flashes with blinding blue light, as if an electric discharge pierces the darkness. On the screen an image appears, first blurry like an old TV with poor reception, then increasingly clear and detailed. Some pompous event in a country mansion. I immediately recognize the architectural style. Neoclassical with modernist elements, popular among newly rich. The news ticker in the corner of the screen makes me feel like the ground is falling away beneath my feet. The date is exactly 1 year since my last mission. What the hell, I've been unconscious for a whole year. What was it? Coma, artificial hibernation, some experimental drugs. The camera slowly, almost lovingly pans across the luxurious hall with cream floral arrangements, orchids, roses, calla lilies, professionally arranged bouquets worth tens of thousands of dollars, Armani tuxedos and Versace evening gowns. An elite wedding. Dom Perignon champagne flows like a river. Guest smiles are as fake as their Botox. Ceremonial music. A live orchestra playing classics. My heart skips a beat when the camera focuses on the bride in a classic white dress, as if someone pulled the chair out from under me, and I'm falling into a bottomless abyss. Catherine. My Catherine. The room around me begins to spin like a carousel of madness. The sensor monitors on the side show a sharp spike in pulse, 120, 130 beats per minute. My fingers dig into the armrests with such force that my knuckles turn white as snow. How is this possible? We lived together for 6 years, 4 of them married. 6 years together, thousands of kisses, hundreds of nights of love, dozens of promises of eternal fidelity. The last time I hugged her before leaving on assignment, I remember every detail of that minute. She smelled of jasmine and freshly cut grass. Her lips touched my cheek like butterfly wings, and tears stood in her eyes when she whispered, "Come back soon, my love." Now those same eyes, amber, with golden flecks around the pupils, shine feverishly, looking at another man. Catherine smiles, but the smile looks strained, like a string about to snap. Over the years of marriage, I've studied every feature of her face, every shade of emotion, like an experienced safecracker knows every click of a lock. Now she's scared. Or nervous. Something in her gaze seems wrong, as if she's sending a distress signal in Morse code with her eyes. The camera switches to the groom, and my body instantly turns to stone like a predator spotting a more dangerous rival. Tall, fit man with military bearing and icy gray eyes. Vincent Craig. The target of my last mission. The man I was supposed to eliminate a year ago, on that fateful night when everything went wrong. He looks exactly like in the dossier photos. Aristocratic features, as if carved from marble, graying temples giving him the nobility of aged wine, impeccable posture of a former military man. Only now I'm not looking at him through an optical sight. He's looking at me from the screen, confidently holding my wife's hand. My head throbs with sharp pain, preventing me from concentrating. I try to reconstruct details of that assignment. Dusty roof of a factory in an industrial area, building plan drawn to the millimeter, escape routes planned to the second. But everything's foggy, as if someone deliberately erased these memories with an eraser, leaving only blurred fragments. The priest pronounces traditional words, guests smile synchronously like puppets. I see Catherine's lips move, pronouncing the fateful "I do," and my heart breaks, as if the last thread connecting me to my former life has been cut. Craig leans toward her dominantly, possessively, and kisses. His hand confidently rests on her waist, like an owner's brand on his property. But that's exactly what it is, right? After all, officially I'm dead, officially killed in the line of duty. Colonel Mackenzie's voice sounds in my memory like an echo. In our work there's no second chance, Mason. Get caught, you no longer exist. No one will come for you. No one will negotiate. Those are the rules. We all signed this agreement, understanding the price of our choice. In case of failure, we'd be written off as combat losses, and families would receive only a flag folded into a triangle and an empty coffin for burial. But Catherine, she knew the true nature of my work. How could she turn the page of our life so quickly, and with Craig of all people in the world, with the man I was supposed to kill? Logic suggests she couldn't have known about my assignment. It was a black-level operation, known to no one outside the narrow command circle. But something in this picture is categorically wrong, like a false note in a symphony. Suddenly the image flickers. The wedding ceremony is replaced by a logo, a stylized letter K in a heraldic shield rendered in ominous red and black tones. Welcome participants of the exclusive consortium auction, announces an emotionless, mechanically modulated voice from hidden speakers. The sound is perfectly clear, processed through multiple filters so that neither age nor gender of the speaker can be determined. Consortium. This name surfaced in intelligence reports several times, an urban legend of special services, a shadow organization allegedly connected to arms, drugs, and influence trading. Officially, it was considered the invention of paranoids and conspiracy theorists. Apparently, the legend turned out to be reality. Today, we present a unique lot, a top-class operative, officially declared dead in the line of duty. Continues the voice with the intonation of a dealer in rare artworks. A camera in the room activates with a mechanical whir. My own image appears on the screen in real time, gaunt face with a weak stubble like dirty snow, sunken eyes burning with the rage of a cornered predator. I barely recognize myself, never seen myself so. Broken, but not defeated. For the state he is dead, for society forgotten, which makes him an ideal object for our traditional hunt. Hunt. Cold realization penetrates my brain, as if an icy scalpel opens the skull. I read classified intelligence reports about such practices in some third-world countries and among elite criminal syndicates. Live hunt. Illegal entertainment for ultra-rich psychopaths who are so jaded with ordinary pleasures that they crave the adrenaline of hunting humans. Lot 27 represents exceptional value, continues the voice. For the first time, our auction offers a military specialist of such level of training and combat experience. Lot 27. Not even a name, not a code name, just a number, like a morgue tag. I've ceased to be a human, becoming merchandise on the shelf of this perverse death supermarket. Anger spreads through my veins, mixing with adrenaline into a toxic cocktail. Rage breaks out in a hoarse scream. Who are you, damn it? What kind of circus is this? Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? No response, only the increased pulsation of my vital signs on the monitor graphs jumping like a seismograph during an earthquake. I jerk in my bonds so violently that the handcuffs cut into my skin, leaving bloody grooves. Pain sobers me, forcing me to pull myself together. Stop, they're testing me, evaluating the goods before sale. Every reaction, every surge of emotion is information for potential buyers, a demonstration of product quality. Fine, you bastards. You want a show, I'll give you one, but by my rules. I force myself to relax, using the breathing control technique we were taught in Ghosts. My face becomes an impenetrable mask, my gaze cold as Arctic ice. Years of training help establish control over physiological reactions. Pulse slows, breathing evens out. Monitors show vital signs returning to normal. Lot 27. I memorize this designation, burning it into my memory. Someday these will be the last words people who trade in human lives will hear. My military file appears on the screen with Top Secret, classification, red seal and black ink, familiar to anyone who's worked with documents of this level. The auction host begins reading my service record, like a seller of elite cars listing its characteristics. Jake Mason, 36 years old, former sniper of the elite Ghost Special Unit. 89 confirmed eliminations in 12 countries, including Category Alpha high-complexity targets. Expert in extreme survival desert, jungle, Arctic. Fluent in 7 languages, including Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. Certified in all types of NATO and Warsaw Pact firearms. Explosives and sabotage specialist. Highest qualification in hand-to-hand combat, Krav Maga, Kalashnikov system, and Filipino Kali styles. Advanced medical training at combat paramedic level. Expert in tactical planning and ambush organization. Each word is a sledgehammer blow to my pride. This is top secret information, accessible only to a handful of people with Cosmos-level clearance. Someone from the very top leaked my data, and this someone must have had access to Pentagon files. Previous military specialists record survival time in our arena 72 hours, continues the mechanical voice with notes of professional pride. However, none of them possessed Ghosts-level training. The estimated value of the lot, considering the uniqueness of skills and exclusivity, $10–12 million. Starting bid, $2 million. Numbers appear on the screen. The starting bid immediately shoots up like a rocket at launch. 2 million, participant Maharaja 7. 2,500,000, participant White Hunter. 3 million, participant Shikas. 3,500,000, participant Collector. I watch this surreal spectacle with a growing sense of derealization. My life, my skills, years of service, everything has turned into lines in an auction catalog, and some perverts with fat wallets are bargaining for the right to hunt me, as if I'm a rare trophy animal on an African safari. 4,500,000, participant Maharaja 7. 5 million, participant Collector. Collector. Just this pseudonym sends chills down my spine like an army of poisonous ants. What does he collect? Skulls of his victims, dried organs, video recordings of killings for sick satisfaction? Or does he simply enjoy the process of collecting like a philatelist, only instead of stamps, human lives? My thoughts return to Catherine, to her eyes at the wedding ceremony. Does she know I'm alive? Is she part of this nightmare? Or is she also a victim in someone's game? 6 million, participant White Hunter. 6,500,000, participant Collector. The numbers grow, but I barely notice them anymore. My attention is drawn to something else. A detailed list of my characteristics now displayed on the right side of the screen, like a technical description of a combat machine. Psychological profile. IQ 142, high stress resistance, tendency toward unconventional tactical solutions, increased adaptability. Parameter survivability, highest rank. Parameter aggression controlled with ability to switch to berserker mode. Potential vulnerabilities. Strong emotional connection with spouse, see Appendix A. Stable loyalty to command, especially to Colonel Mackenzie. Heightened sense of justice. They've studied me like entomologists study a rare beetle. Broken down into components. Evaluated each aspect of personality from the perspective of entertainment value for their sick game. A memory flashes before my eyes for a second. My last mission, dusty roof of the Detroit Steel factory, clear image of Craig in my M24 rifle's optical sight. And sudden blow from behind, sharp pain, darkness. Someone knew where I'd be down to the meter. Someone betrayed me, sold me like a cheap whore. Think Jake, think. Apply analytical skills. This isn't just a kidnapping for ransom or exchange. It's a carefully planned operation. A whole year of preparation, access to top-secret files, complete information about my personal life, psychological profile, combat skills. And Catherine, marrying the man I was supposed to liquidate. Too many coincidences to be accidental. Someone from inside is involved. Someone of very high rank. Special value is presented by the lot's personal file, containing detailed information about the subject's psychological profile and potential vulnerabilities. Continues the auction host in the tone of an art critic describing a rare painting. A new video recording appears on screen. Night parking lot by a shopping center, lit only by sparse streetlights casting long shadows. Date in corner of screen, 3 days before my last mission. Catherine nervously looks around, pressing a leather folder to her chest, then quickly walks to a luxury black sedan where a large gray-haired man in an impeccable military uniform awaits her. My heart skips a beat, then starts beating twice as fast. I know this profile like my own reflection. Know the characteristic gesture of tapping fingers on the car door, a habit acquired over years of waiting in ambushes. And the massive ring on his right hand, not jewelry, but a mark of distinction worn only by the highest-ranking military intelligence officers. General William Hawks, my mentor, Ghost's special unit curator, and the man I trusted more than my own father. 15 years of flawless service under his command, hundreds of completed assignments, dozens of saved lives. Catherine hands him the folder and flash drive. Hawks quickly checks the contents by the light of the interior lamp, then nods satisfactorily and hands her a thick envelope. They talk about something. From the movement of their lips, I try to read at least some words, but the angle is bad, and there's no sound in the recording. Your spouse proved to be a valuable consortium asset, comments the dispassionate voice, as if talking about the weather. The information she provided about your last operation allowed us to organize your death and subsequent acquisition for our collection. No, this can't be true. Catherine couldn't. We met in college, fell in love at first sight, married against her parents' will. She supported me all these years, waited for me from deployments, treated wounds, comforted after nightmares. The motive is simple and banal like human nature itself, continues the voice with a hint of contempt. 8% of the auction's final bid significantly exceeds standard military death insurance. In your case, considering current bidding, we're talking about an amount over $500,000. Blood pounds in my temples, drowning out the host's words. I look at the screen where numbers continue to rise inexorably. 6.5 million, almost 7, 8%. That's more than I earned in all my years of service. Good price for a husband if you have no conscience. Or is this all a lie? Carefully staged manipulation designed to break my spirit before the hunt. Deepfake technology now allows creating video indistinguishable from reality. But General Hawks, how to explain his presence? I know this man too well to confuse him with a double. His manner of moving, characteristic gestures, even how he adjusts his cuffs, all this is impossible to fake. He personally selected me for ghosts from the best sniper school graduates. He led me through every operation, taught me to survive in impossible conditions. potential vulnerabilities, stable loyalty to command. In their assessment, this is a weakness, an Achilles heel that can be used against me. And the video recording, perhaps assembled from different pieces. Modern video processing technology works wonders, but why create such a complex lie? What's the point of spending resources on a psychological attack if soon I'll be on their arena as a live target? Unless this is part of the game, to break me psychologically before the physical hunt begins, to kill the will to resist before the first shot. I remember Hawk's words during one training session. A real fighter needs to be defeated in his head before attacking his body. Undermine faith in his own strength, his ideals, his loved ones, and he'll fall without a fight. I clench my teeth until they grind, fighting for control over emotions. If this is true, I'll find a way to take revenge on everyone involved. If it's a lie, all the more reason to track down everyone behind this show. Either way, someone will pay for every second of this nightmare. On the monitor, my value has already exceeded $7 million. $7 million from participant collector, announces the mechanical voice with the intonation of a croupier in an elite casino. $7 million going once, $7 million going twice. Holding my breath, I watch as my fate is decided in this perverse death lottery. A strange, almost detached feeling envelops me, as if I'm watching a thriller where the main character is trapped in a hopeless situation, and viewers wonder whether he'll get out or not. Only the hero is me, and no one will write a happy ending for me. Suddenly, a new bid flashes on the screen, numbers flickering like on a stock exchange board. $8 million from participant White Hunter. Tense pause. I almost physically feel how somewhere in luxurious mansions or on yacht decks rich psychopaths frantically consider their next moves. $8,500,000 from collector. Silence stretches for endless seconds. Then an electronic gong sounds the final chord of this bloody opera. Sold to participant collector for a record $8,500,000 US. Congratulations to the winner. $8.5 million for the right to kill a person. I wonder, is this a world record? How much would a president's or prime minister's life cost at such an auction? Or maybe I'm the most expensive item in the history of these devilish trades. Strange pride mixes with disgust. The door to the room opens with a pneumatic hiss, reminiscent of a giant snake's sigh. Two men enter in standard military camouflage without identifying marks, faces hidden by black medical masks, eyes behind tinted glasses, professionals to the bone, movements honed like surgeons. The first holds an injection gun with a transparent ampule of unknown substance. The second carries a metal case with a biometric lock. Congratulations to the winner of the exclusive auction, continues the mechanical voice as the guards approach. Transportation of the lot to the arena will occur immediately. We remind you of the conditions. The winner gets 72 hours of exclusive access to the trophy within specially prepared territory. The hunt will begin after a 12-hour head start for the subject. Arena. Now I finally understand what awaits me, a confined territory, probably an island or fenced area in the wilderness, where Collector and his team of professional killers will hunt me like a cornered beast. 72 hours of continuous pursuit, ambushes, traps. 3 days and 3 nights of fighting for survival in conditions where all advantages are on the hunter's side. The man with the injection gun approaches closely. I tense my muscles, preparing for meaningless but fierce resistance. Let them know that even bound hand and foot, a ghost, doesn't surrender without a fight. And at this moment the host pronounces the final phrase that makes my blood run cold. The winner asks to convey that you know him personally, Mr. Mason, and he's eagerly awaiting your meeting. He promised this would be the most unforgettable hunt in consortium history. No, personally. My brain frantically runs through options like a computer scanning a database. Who could this collector be? A former colleague holding a grudge? a commander whose orders I once disobeyed, a relative of one of my targets seeking revenge, or someone who miraculously survived after my operations. Cold needle pierces my neck, cutting the skin with surgical precision. The drug instantly spreads through my veins, a sensation of ice water flowing through the circulatory system. The room begins to blur like a watercolor painting in the rain. Sounds become muffled, as if I'm submerging underwater. Last clear thought before consciousness finally sinks into chemical fog. Catherine. Why? For what? Eyelids grow heavy as lead curtains. Head falls limply onto chest. Darkness envelops me in a sticky cocoon, but even through the narcotic haze I feel how they unstrap me from the chair, transfer me to a gurney with a soft mattress and safety straps. Fragments of conversations reach my fatting consciousness, as if through water. Special value of the specimen. Handle carefully, don't damage the goods. Craig paid too much to receive a damaged toy. Craig Vincent Craig. Collector. The man I was supposed to kill by command order. The man who married my wife. The man who paid millions for the right to hunt me. The perfect circle of betrayal closes, like a snake biting its own tail. If I survive on this damned arena, if I hold out longer than the allotted 72 hours, I'll find a way to break this circle. And then everyone involved will learn a simple truth. Jake Mason is not merchandise at an auction, not a trophy for someone's collection. I am a predator, temporarily caged, and woe to whoever opens this cage. Darkness finally swallows me completely, carrying me into oblivion. Chapter 2. The Arena. Consciousness returns to me like a sea tide washing upon a deserted shore, unhurriedly, but with the inexorable force of nature's elements. First I sense only disconnected fragments of reality, the salty smell of ocean mixed with the sharp aroma of pine resin, the touch of cool breeze on the exposed skin of my face and hands, distant cries of seagulls, like hysterical laughter, and the rhythmic sound of surf beating against the rocky shore. And only then do I begin to reassemble myself piece by piece, like a complex puzzle where each detail must fall into place. A man whose name was taken away, replaced with a lot number at a death auction. A man for whom $8.5 million were paid. A man who became prey in the most perverse hunt of the century. I open my eyes and immediately squint from the bright sunlight piercing through dense foliage. The world around me pulses with saturated colors and blurs, as if I'm looking through fogged glass. I blink several times until my vision adapts to the new conditions. Above me spreads a canopy of interwoven branches, a natural tent created by century-old pines. I reflexively try to raise my hand to shield my eyes from the blinding rays, and with relief realize I'm no longer chained to the chair. But freedom of limbs is a cruel illusion. The truth hits me when my palm instinctively reaches for my neck. A metal collar, cold, heavy, like shackles on a condemned man's legs. Green lead indicators flicker around its circumference, small green eyes tracking my every movement. My fingers explore the smooth surface of the titanium alloy, finding nearly invisible seams and, yes, I'm not mistaken, thin strips of plastic explosive embedded in the casing with surgical precision. A miniature speaker for one-way communication. And undoubtedly a microphone, so my future killers can enjoy their victims' last breath live. I listen to my body, assessing the damage. Muscles hum with tension, like overtaut strings, but no serious injuries. Judging by the symptoms, they dosed me with a combination of propofol and vecuronium classic mixture for transporting valuable cargo. Dosage calculated with pharmaceutical precision, enough to keep me unconscious for the needed time, but not so strong as to cause irreversible consequences. Slowly overcoming residual dizziness, I sit up. I'm in a small wooded basin, reliably hidden from observation from the height's ideal place for the prey's awakening. The sun stands at zenith, meaning either it's noon now, or I've been unconscious for more than a day. Given my kidnapper's professionalism, probably the former. Next to me on the crushed grass lies a military backpack of standard olive color. New, but artificially aged, scuffs and scratches applied to exclude reflections that give away position. I open the backpack, methodically checking the contents. Kabar Army knife in leather sheath, time-tested steel, sharpening not the sharpest but will do for field conditions. 1 liter canteen with water. I take a careful sip, analyzing taste and aftertaste. Clean, without characteristic flavor of chemicals or poisons. Basic field first aid kit. Antiseptic, sterile bandages, painkillers, tourniquet, plaster. 2 dry MRE rations for 48 hours, high-calorie, but tasteless as cardboard. Military compass, without electronics, good old mechanics requiring no batteries. And a laminated topographic map. I unfold the map on my knees, studying the terrain. Island of irregular shape, approximately 5 by 8 kilometers, indented coastline, elevation difference up to 200 meters. Along the perimeter, red dotted line with warning signs. A boundary that cannot be crossed under threat of instant collar detonation. Inside, various zones are marked. Coniferous forests occupy about 60% of the territory, rocky coastal areas. Several dilapidated structures marked as Facilities AF in the lower left corner in small print. Arena 7, private property of the consortium. Unauthorized entry punishable by death. Arena 7. Seems I'm not the first victim of their perverse games. I wonder what happened to the inhabitants of the previous 6 arenas. I get to my feet, checking coordination and balance. Slight dizziness has almost passed, but there's characteristic heaviness in muscles after prolonged immobility. Need to stretch, restore circulation and muscle tone. My life is now measured in hours, and every minute of preparation increases chances of survival. Using sun and compass for orientation, I determine my location on the map. Apparently, I was dropped in the southwest sector of the island, a kilometer from the coast. The terrain allows undetected approach to the nearest elevation for terrain observation. Basic rule of reconnaissance: first assess the territory, then plan actions. Childhood memories surface inappropriately, father teaching me to navigate in the Rocky Mountains. "If you're lost, Jake," he'd say in his calm teacher's voice, "first find a high point and look around. Panic is a survivalist's worst enemy." I remember how he'd lift me onto his shoulders, and the world would suddenly become clear. Rivers, valleys, trails would form a logical picture. "See, son, nature always leaves clues. You just need to learn to read them." Father would die of shame, knowing his lessons are now useful not for saving lives, but for surviving as game in someone else's hunt. I pack the equipment in the backpack. Attach the knife to my right thigh, quick access in critical situation. Last glance at the sky, no helicopters, no drones, though this means nothing. Surely the whole island is riddled with cameras and sensors. Every step is recorded, analyzed, broadcast to selected audience. I smile, imagining their disappointment. They expected panic, hysteria, desperate escape attempts. Instead, they get a cold-blooded professional ready to turn their arena into his own battlefield. I begin careful movement up the slope, using natural cover and tree shadows. Each step measured, each movement calculated. The game has begun, but I'll set the rules. Before I can take 50 steps along the fern-covered slope, the collar on my neck suddenly comes alive with a short, piercing beep, a sound reminiscent of an anti-personnel mine's warning signal, a second before explosion. Reflexes kick in instantly. I drop to the ground and roll behind the massive trunk of a fallen pine. Years of training have turned this sequence of movements into a single fluid maneuver. My right hand automatically reaches for the knife on my thigh, though my mind understands the absurdity of trying to defend against electronics with a blade. "Lot 27, welcome to the arena," says the familiar mechanical voice from the tiny speaker. The same soulless synthesized timbre as at the auction, but now with notes of cold superiority. "Your purchaser, known as Collector, has paid for exclusive rights to the hunt in your performance." Vincent Craig. The name surfaces in consciousness, colored with rage and bitterness. The man kissing Catherine at the wedding ceremony, this image is burned into my memory. Target of operation, clean shot, sanctioned at the highest level. The man who paid $8.5 million for the privilege of personally putting a bullet in my forehead. You are on private territory covering 40 square kilometers, completely isolated from the outside world. The surveillance system records your every movement in real time, continues the voice with mechanical precision. The Cerberus 4 model collar contains 200 grams of C4 plastique. Detonation will occur automatically in the following cases. Attempt to cross the perimeter marked by the red line. Attempt to remove or damage the device. Expiration of 72 hours from the start of the hunt if you are not neutralized earlier. 200 grams of C4, enough to scatter a head within a 10-meter radius. Quick death, the only show of humanity in this sadistic game. The hunter will arrive in 12 hours, giving you a head start for preparation. Standard protocol provides for live broadcasting to consortium VIP clients. Past seasons' ratings show viewers especially appreciate unconventional tactical solutions and spectacular traps. Try not to disappoint our audience. Good luck, and remember, in this game there can be only one winner. The connection cuts off with a slight click. I remain lying for several more seconds, digesting the information. 12 hours head start, generous gesture or tactical miscalculation. 72 hours of hunting, 3 days and 3 nights of continuous survival. If Craig doesn't acquire me in this time, automatic detonation. A flawless system without loopholes. But every system has weak points. In sniper school they taught us, there are no impregnable fortresses, only lack of information about them. 12 hours sufficient time to study the territory, identify patterns, find breaches in their perfect plan. I get up and continue climbing, now with doubled caution. 15 minutes later, I reach the top of a hill about 100 meters high. From here opens a panoramic view of most of the island, ideal point for initial reconnaissance. I take out the compass and map from the backpack, begin comparing what I see with the markings. To the north, solid mass of coniferous forest, in places so dense that tree crowns merge into an impenetrable green carpet. In the central part stand out concrete structures, squat bunkers, hangars, one tall building with a rusty radio tower, probably a former command post. In the east, I see a complex of single-story buildings resembling barracks or warehouses. The southern coast is cut by rocky bays, and in the west spreads relatively open terrain with sparse groups of trees. In the distance, almost on the horizon, gleams the blue of the ocean, freedom separated from me by an invisible line of death. Somewhere out there, hundreds of miles away, normal life continues. People work, love, raise children, unaware of this nightmare's existence. I carefully study landscape details. Military training suggests this is a former secret testing ground, probably from Cold War times. Location of facilities, road system, anti-tank ditches camouflaged by time, everything points to the island's military past. Perfect place for rich psychopaths' deadly games. I take a water sip from the canteen sparingly, not knowing if there are freshwater sources on the island, and if there are, whether they're specifically poisoned. Snipers are taught to manage with minimum liquid, but after 48 hours dehydration will become a critical factor. One last survey of the horizon. No ships, no air transport, complete isolation, as promised. Seems the only way to leave the island is in a body bag. Well then, collector, you paid millions for an exclusive hunt. You'll get it. Only we'll distribute the roles differently. Who's the hunter here and who's the prey, that's still a big question. I begin the descent, already forming a plan of action. First priority, detailed reconnaissance of terrain with creation of mental map. Second, search for resources for survival and weapon creation. Third, preparation of traps and ambushes. I have 12 hours to turn their arena into my personal death ground. The next 6 hours I devote to systematic study of the territory, applying methods practiced in special forces. First movement along the island's perimeter, not right up to the red line. Self-preservation instinct suggests keeping a safe distance of at least 50 meters, but close enough to get an idea of the game zone boundaries. Then I switch to a spiral search pattern, gradually narrowing circles from periphery to center. Tedious, requires iron discipline, but gives the most complete picture of the terrain. My trained eye captures details invisible to ordinary people. The video surveillance system impresses with its sophistication. Cameras camouflaged as bird nests, tree hollows, even ordinary stones. Infrared motion sensors installed on all key paths and crossroads. Directional microphones capable of catching whispers at 30 meters distance, hidden in tree trunks. The entire territory is literally riddled with electronics. The arena's creators clearly didn't skimp on equipment. But even in the most perfect surveillance system, there are blind spots laws of physics can't be fooled. I methodically map them in memory. Here a terrain fold creates a blind spot for the camera. Their overlapping sectors of two sensors' view leave a narrow corridor about a meter wide. In another place, dense crowns of century-old pines completely block view from above. Each such zone is a potential shelter or ambush site. By midday, the overall picture begins to clarify. The island indeed is a former military facility, judging by preserved signs and markings, a secret U.S. Navy testing ground, abandoned in the early 90s and subsequently privatized. Now it's clear why the consortium chose this place. Ready infrastructure, natural isolation, absence from official maps. In the southern part of the island, I discover what was once a research complex, 3 concrete buildings connected by passages with characteristic ventilation shafts. Inside, looted laboratories, rusty equipment, piles of broken glass. But the basement areas are better preserved. Seems they were used relatively recently. On the eastern coast, a former shooting range. Concrete shelters, earthen ramparts, half-destroyed targets with faded silhouettes. In one bunker I find an old ammunition storage, empty of course, but metal boxes and containers might be useful for making traps. Western sector, former residential area. 2-story silicate brick barracks, canteen with rusted kitchen equipment, medical station, administrative building. Roofs partially caved in, windows broken, but walls still sturdy, good shelter from weather and prying eyes. In the center of the island rises the main complex building, 4-story concrete box with panoramic windows, now empty eye sockets, and rusty radio mast on the roof. Once all operations on the testing ground were managed from here. Now it's an ideal sniper position with 360-degree view. But the most important discovery awaits me underground. Completely by accident, tripping over a metal hatch half hidden by vegetation, I discover an entrance to an extensive network of underground communications. Tunnels connect all main island facilities, probably created for covert movement of personnel and equipment. Some passages have collapsed, others flooded with groundwater, but about a third of the system is still passable. On the rim of one hatch I notice fresh scratches. Someone opened it very recently. Perhaps consortium technical staff during arena preparation. Or, the thought burns consciousness, someone from previous participants in their bloody games. This is a true gift of fate. Underground communications aren't marked on the map given to me. Either the arena creators don't know about them, unlikely, or deliberately hid this information to complicate the task. Either way, now I have a trump card the hunters don't suspect. Parallel to studying the territory, I conduct inventory of potential resources. I discover 3 freshwater sources: spring in the northern part of the island, small lake in the center, and rainwater reservoir collected in natural rock depression in the west. I check each with an improvised test. Spring and reservoir seem safe, but water in the lake has a suspicious chemical taste. Perhaps natural contamination, perhaps someone's foresight. I compile a list of edible plants, wild raspberries, blueberries, edible mushrooms, identifying with caution. A mistake could cost my life, young fern shoots. Not exactly a gourmet menu, but I won't starve. I find several abandoned apple trees near the former canteen, fruits small and sour, but vitamins won't be superfluous. I gather materials for creating weapons and traps, straight branches for bow and arrows, flexible vines for bowstring, sharp stones for arrowheads, rusty wire from fences, glass shards. In one bunker I discover a supply of old chemicals, bleach, ammonia, acetone. In skilled hands this is the basis for primitive explosives and smoke bombs. By evening I have a detailed mental map of the island, much more detailed than the official version. Every path, every ravine, every potential shelter is fixed in memory. There's no longer just an island. There's a battlefield where I know every square meter. The sun inclines toward sunset, painting the sky in alarming crimson tones. I have about 6 hours left before the hunters arrive. Time to transition from reconnaissance to active actions. Need to choose a base camp, establish an early warning system, prepare escape routes and ambush sites. But a strange feeling persists, bordering on paranoia, as if I'm being watched not just by cameras. Sometimes it seems I catch movement in the shadows from the corner of my eye, hear rustling unlike natural forest sounds. Maybe nerves acting up from tension. Or maybe the game started earlier than announced. With approaching twilight, I decide to explore one of the half-destroyed barracks in the western sector of the island. Base camp needs to be chosen carefully. The place must provide shelter, overview of approaches, and escape routes. This barracks is ideal. Two-story building with thick walls, multiple exits, good view of open terrain. I approach from downwind, using natural cover, thickets of bushes, piles of construction debris, remains of military equipment. Every few steps I freeze, listening to surrounding sounds. The silence is alarming, even birds aren't singing, as if sensing tension in the air. The building looks abandoned 20 years ago. Plaster has crumbled, exposing brickwork. Window frames rotted, leaving gaping openings. Roof collapsed in several places, letting daylight inside. Front door hangs on one hinge, creaking with every gust of wind. But something's wrong here. Fresh footprints in dusty floor. Broken branches at entrance. Scrap of fabric caught on rusty nail. Someone was here very recently, perhaps yesterday or even this morning. Inside the barracks reigns chaos of abandonment. Overturned metal bunks, broken lockers, piles of garbage. But in far corner of first floor my attention is drawn to something unusual, an improvised shelter constructed from available materials. Someone dragged here a canvas tarp, wooden crates, cabinet doors, creating a sort of fortified nest. I approach cautiously, knife at ready. The shelter is empty, but clearly used not long ago. Inside, moldering army blanket, empty ration containers with dates 2-3 years old, homemade weapons. Sharpened piece of rebar wrapped with electrical tape for comfortable grip, sling made from elastic cord and piece of leather. Several Molotov cocktails with already evaporated contents. Walls around the shelter turned into a sort of survival diary. Inscriptions made various ways, scratched with knife, written with charcoal, some using dried blood. They watch from everywhere, cameras in every damn tree. 3 snipers, position change every 4 hours clockwise. Stone brothers always work in pairs, divide and conquer. Northern bunker trap, tripwire mine. Underground passage by eastern warehouse is mined. Forgive me, Lisa, I won't return to you and the baby. Stone brothers. The name awakens vague memories. Seems in Iraq there were rumors about a pair of twin mercenaries with that surname. Former Navy SEALs expelled for excessive cruelty, transferred to private military companies. Specialized in wet operations, kidnappings, torture, eliminations. If it's them, then Craig assembled a team of top-class professionals. I continue inspecting the barracks. On second floor, in former recreation room, I find another grim testimony. Under pile of debris and garbage, human remains. Judging by degree of decomposition, death occurred about a year ago. Skeleton lies in fetal position, as if person tried to protect themselves from invisible threat. Clothes decayed, but fragments of military uniform without insignia preserved. I examine remains with professional detachment of a pathologist. No traces of gunshot or stab wounds, but on forearm bones visible characteristic notches deep, made with sharp object. Suicide. This person cut their veins, preferring slow death from blood loss to prospect of becoming trophy in someone's collection. Next to skeleton lies half-decayed wallet. Inside, faded photograph of young woman with baby in arms. On back inscription made in neat handwriting. To Sarah and little Michael from Daddy. See you soon. Love you, James asterisk. Under photograph, folded piece of paper. I unfold carefully, afraid fragile paper will crumble. Last message. This is my choice. Better to die as human than become exhibit in psychopath's collection. Sarah, if you ever learn the truth, forgive me. I thought I was going on regular assignment. Take care of our son. Let him grow up better than his father. Cold rage rises from somewhere deep in my soul. How many such Jameses became victims of this bloody amusement? How many wives and children never saw their husbands and fathers again? I clench fists so tight nails dig into palms. I promise you, soldier, I say aloud, addressing the remains. Your death won't be in vain. They'll pay for every ruined life. I methodically search the body, trying not to disturb the deceased's final rest. In breast pocket, I find folded island map, older version than mine, but with valuable notes. Red crosses mark places where other participants died, green circles water sources and supply caches. But the main find awaits me in the jacket sleeve. Sharpened metal rod about 30 centimeters long, carefully wrapped with electrical tape for comfortable grip. Perfect weapon for silent killing, light, durable, requires no special skills. I wonder why James didn't use it. Maybe didn't want to kill, even defending his life. Thanks, brother, I say, carefully extracting the improvised stiletto. I won't be so squeamish. This weapon will spill blood of those who deserve it. I leave the barracks already in complete darkness. My heart is heavy, but resolve only strengthened. This arena must become the last in consortium history. I won't just survive, I'll end their bloody games. Deep down I understand. Even if I deal with the hunters, the explosives in the collar will detonate in 72 hours. But now it doesn't matter. My mission is no longer about personal survival. I'll become vengeance for those who turned hunting humans into entertainment for rich psychopaths. The moon rises above the horizon, bathing the island in ghostly light. Somewhere out there in the darkness, my pursuers are already preparing to land. Well, I'll prepare them a worthy welcome. Let them learn what it's like to transform from hunter to prey. I decide to risk and head to the Central Administrative Building, the most dangerous but potentially most informative facility on the island. If there's any chance to get additional data about the hunters or find a way to contact the outside world, it's only there. Of course, this place is surely under enhanced surveillance, maybe even guarded. But there's no choice. Information is more important than safety now. I move to the complex through one of the underground tunnels discovered earlier. The entrance is camouflaged by fallen leaves half a kilometer from the building. I descend the rusty ladder, trying not to make noise. The tunnel is narrow, no more than 1.5 meters high, have to walk bent over. Air is musty, smells of mold and decomposition. Every few meters I stop, listening to sounds ahead. Flashlight beam, found in one of the barracks along with half-discharged batteries, snatches details from darkness, peeling walls, sagging cables, puddles of stagnant water. On walls occasionally visible faded inscriptions, radiation warnings, direction indicators, technical markings. Seems these tunnels were used for transporting something dangerous. After 20 minutes of careful progress, I reach a vertical shaft with ladder. Climb up, counting steps 72. At top, massive hatch with code lock. Fortunately, code is primitive, mechanical, without electronics. I pick the combination by brute force. On sixth attempt, the lock clicks. I open the hatch a centimeter, listen. Silence. Carefully lift the cover and find myself in the administrative building's basement. Judging by equipment, former server room or control center. Metal racks for equipment, bundles of torn cables, blinking emergency power LEDs. And miracle, working computer terminal in corner. Old model, monochrome display, mechanical keyboard. Apparently part of the island's backup life support system. I approach, trying not to step on creaking floorboards. On screen, prompt to enter password. Security system archaic, early 90s level. In our unit we took basic hacking course, not to become hackers but to be able to obtain information in field conditions. Start simple, try standard passwords, admin, password, 12,345. No success. I look around for clues. On wall, faded photograph of development team in lab coats. Caption below, Project Cerberus successfully completed. 3151989 asterisk. Cerberus, like the collar model. I enter Cerberus 1989. Denied. Try Cerberus 0389. Screen flashes, main menu appears. Arena 7 Management System. 1 Operations Archive. Asterisk 2 Participant Database. Asterisk 3 Surveillance Systems. Asterisk 4 External Communication /block /. Asterisk 5 Emergency Protocols. Hands trembling with excitement. Select Operations Archive. List of files with dates seems like records of past hunts. Open the most recent 2 months old. Video recording from surveillance camera. Helipad, arrival of group of people in camouflage without identifying marks. And among them tall man in expensive hunting suit. Vincent Craig in person. Switch to participant database. Find his file. Craig Vincent J. Status, Platinum Consortium member. Specialization, military technology, private intelligence. Hunt participation, 14. Successful, 14. Special notes, increased cruelty, tendency towards psychological torture, asterisk. Continue digging through files. Find something interesting in Special Operations section. Operation Cleaner. Target. Elimination of Agent M27 Mason Jake. Status. Successfully completed. Note. Subject alive, transferred to Arena 7 at personal request of V. Craig. Special conditions. Agent has information about General W. Hawk's involvement in consortium activities. So that's it. I wasn't just set up, they deliberately kept me alive to arrange this perverse hunt. And Hawks, my mentor, the man I trusted unconditionally, he's one of them. I opened Surveillance Systems section. Layout of cameras and sensors, much more detailed than I assumed. But the main thing, I discover blind zones not covered by surveillance. Photograph the layout with an old Polaroid found in the desk will be useful. Last find awaits me in emergency protocols. Document marked top secret. Protocol Omega. In case of Cerberus system malfunction, emergency deactivation possible via satellite channel. Access code. Frostbite XXXXXXX. Last 7 digits subject's date of birth. Frostbite. A play on my last name, but date of birth. This is a chance. If I find a way to access satellite communication. Suddenly, alarm siren breaks the silence. On screen appears flashing warning, unauthorized access, security protocol activation. Damn, system detected the breach. I grab the photos and rush to the hatch. From below already hear guards' shouts and boot stomps. Jump into shaft, not even closing hatch behind me. Run through tunnel, zigzagging at forks. Behind me, muffled shots, pursuers' shouts. I emerge through emergency exit a kilometer from the building. Lungs burning, heart pounding like crazy. but I'm smiling information obtained, and now I have a plan. Not just to survive, but to hack their whole system from inside. Check watch less than 3 hours until hunters arrive. Time to prepare surprises for dear guests. Pre-dawn darkness gathers over the island, the deadest time of day, when nocturnal predators have finished hunting and diurnal ones haven't yet awakened. Suddenly the silence is broken by a low hum, first distant, then increasingly distinct. I press against a pine trunk at the edge of a clearing from where the landing pad is clearly visible 500 meters away. Heart beating rapidly, not from fear, but from anticipation. The hunt begins, but who will become the victim is still a question. From beyond the horizon appears the helicopter's silhouette, massive transport without identification marks, painted matte black. The machine circles over the island, searchlights combing the terrain with white beams, then smoothly descends, raising clouds of sand and fallen leaves. From the dark belly of the helicopter jump 3 men, professional movements, practice special forces choreography. The Stone brothers, massive as gorillas in Kevlar, with heads shaved bald and identical scorpion tattoos on their necks. Armed with Benelli M4 automatic shotguns, ideal weapon for jungle. Synchronously, like parts of one mechanism, they take positions around the pad's perimeter. Third appears the sniper, tall, wiry, with ascetic face. In hands Barrett M82 rifle with thermal scope, this monster penetrates body armor like paper, immediately scans elevations, seeking optimal ambush positions. Professional who can wait hours for one perfect shot. Fourth descends the technician, nervous type with glasses, hung with gadgets like a Christmas tree with ornaments. Tablet, radio, some sensors on belt. He begins setting up portable antenna, apparently will coordinate actions via satellite. Last, with royal dignity, exits Vincent Craig himself. Impeccable Orvis hunting suit, handmade boots, on chest Swarovski binoculars worth $5,000. He's in no hurry to arm himself. Why, when there's a team of professional killers? Craig approaches the loudspeaker pole and activates the notification system. His voice spreads over the island, velvet baritone, with notes of aristocratic arrogance. "Good morning, Mr. Mason. Or should I call you Lot 27? I hope you've appreciated our island's hospitality. You've had enough time to look around, but now the real game begins. 8.5 million, a record sum in consortium history. Try to justify such investments." I clench my teeth until they grind. His tone, like that of a racehorse owner encouraging his favorite before the race. "The rules are simple, survivor takes all. But don't delude yourself, in 20 years of Arena's existence, no one has lasted longer than 72 hours. Your time limit starts now." In confirmation of his words, the collar emits a short beep. On the tiny display appear numbers, 715959, countdown to death. Oh yes, almost forgot. Sending regards from General Hawks. He deeply regrets he couldn't attend personally but promised to watch the recording. He's particularly interested in the moment of your demise. At the mention of Hawks, rage boils within me. Traitor. The man I considered a second father turned out to be the puppeteer in this bloody spectacle. Craig finishes his speech and gives command. Hunters disperse according to pre-developed plan. Stone brothers take northern and southern directions, apparently will sweep the forest. Sniper heads to central building, best overview from there. Technician stays at the pad, deploying mobile command post. Craig himself takes miniature communicator from pocket and dials code. Holds device so no one can see screen. Who is he calling? And why hide it from his team? I observe for several more minutes, memorizing each hunter's behavioral characteristics. Stone brothers have clear system of gestures. They communicate without words. Sniper constantly touches amulet on neck, superstitious. Technician nervously looks around every 30 seconds, clearly out of his element. And Craig, he's too calm for a man starting a deadly hunt, as if playing a rehearsed role. Time to act. but first need to test a theory. If information from the computer is correct, I have a chance to seize initiative. I silently crawl away from the observation point and head to the first prepared trap. The hunt has begun, but I set the rules. Chapter 3: Hunter and Prey. I spend the next 3 hours in shadows, observing the hunter team's movements. My sniper experience taught me the main thing. Patience is more important than speed, observation more important than action. Each member of Craig's team has their own behavioral patterns, their own weaknesses, and I methodically catalog them all. Samantha Valkyrie, Renard elite sniper, former Quantico school instructor, took position on the administrative building roof as I expected. Accuracy international rifle with range up to 1.5 kilometers. She scans terrain by sectors by the book, but there's a nuance. Valkyrie is fixated on finding an equal opponent, looks for another sniper, constantly checks elevations and distant lines, but examines territory directly beneath her rarely and superficially. Professional deformation, expectation of threat from an equal, not from below. Ramon Bug Perez, electronic systems specialist, hacker with military past, runs around perimeter installing motion sensors and miniature cameras. But something clearly bothers him. Every 5 minutes he checks personal communicator, nervously looks around. Personal life problems, or waiting for important message. Either way, his distraction is my advantage. Diego Dr. Vargas presents a puzzle. Formally, he's team medic, but his massive hands with short fingers and executioner's gaze reveal true specialization: interrogator, master of enhanced interrogation. Interesting detail. After each contact with environment, he takes out antibacterial gel and thoroughly treats hands. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, or professional habit of someone working with blood. The Stone brothers, Marcus and Matthew, move like single organism. System of nonverbal signals perfected to automatism. If one turns head left, second instinctively checks right flank. Distance between them always 10-15 meters, enough for maneuver, but within visual contact. Their main strength is paired work, but this is also their weakness. They rely on each other so much that they lose vigilance in the dead zone between them. But I pay closest attention to Ghost, Alex Chen, former Chinese intelligence operative, master of silent kills. He moves cat-like without a single unnecessary movement. His eyes constantly scan surrounding space, fixing smallest details. In each new location, he first determines escape routes, most dangerous opponent. However, even Ghost has behavior patterns. He prefers moving against wind, old hunter's habit, avoids open spaces, even if it lengthens route, and most importantly, uses standard territory checking scheme, spiral from periphery to center. This makes his movements predictable for those who know what to look for. By noon, the picture becomes completely clear. Craig divided the island into sectors, assigning each hunter their own area of responsibility. Classic driven hunt tactic: gradually narrow the ring, driving prey into trap. But I have other plans. Observing Craig, I notice something strange. He regularly steps away from the group and types something on a secured satellite phone, while carefully watching that none of the team sees the screen. Who is he texting, and why hide it from his people? Another detail: Craig clearly disapproves of the Stone brothers' aggressive tactics. Several times I see him gesture to stop them when they're about to use explosives, as if he wants to keep the island intact. Or me. Sun reaches zenith. Time to move from observation to action. My first target: Ghost. He went to scout the eastern sector, temporarily separated from the group. Ideal opportunity for attack. I move parallel to his route, using natural cover. Over years of service, I learned to read the forest like a book. Every broken twig, every disturbed stone tells a story. Ghost is good, very good, but I'm better. I choose ambush site: ruins of old laboratory with many blind corners. Pick up fist-sized stone and throw it into bushes right of Ghost's presumed route. Quiet rustle, just enough to attract professionals' attention. He reacts instantly, freezes, listens, then begins creeping toward sound source. Everything going according to plan, his path leads through narrow corridor between collapsed walls. Ideal place for sudden attack. I wait until he almost passes my corner. His attention focused on presumed threat ahead, fatal mistake. Attack in blind zone, using technique from Krav Maga arsenal. Rear grab with simultaneous blocking of airways. Ghost reacts lightning fast, sharp body turn, attempt to reach hidden knife. But I'm ready for this. Use his own momentum, directing movement into concrete wall. Follows short, fierce struggle, professional against professional. Elbow strike finds my rib, flash of pain, but I don't loosen grip. My trophy stiletto draws warning line along his side, not deep, but enough for him to understand situation's seriousness. Easy, buddy, I whisper in his ear. This is just the beginning. After 30 seconds of struggle, oxygen deprivation takes its toll. Ghost's body goes limp, temporary unconsciousness from carotid artery compression. Work quickly. Search. Take weapons and equipment. Bind with his own tactical cord. Leave note on chest. Collection expanding. Respectfully, Exhibit 27. Psychological warfare is no less important than physical. Let Craig know. His game isn't going according to script. Take Ghost's communicator. After 10 minutes of fiddling with encryption, gain access to team communications. Now I'll know their every move. Disappear into forest shadows. Hunt continues, but now I dictate the rules. The next 6 hours turn into deadly chess. Using intercepted radio communications and knowledge of terrain, I methodically track remaining team members. Each attack carefully planned, each strike calculated to exploit specific opponent weakness. Dr. Vargas falls first. His obsessive cleanliness becomes Achilles' heel. I imitate distress signal on Ghost's radio, supposedly one of Stone brothers injured and needs urgent help. Give coordinates in dirtiest place on island swampy area near old sewage station. Vargas arrives 20 minutes later, grimacing with disgust at the stench. I attack from under layer of mud and rotting leaves, classic Viet Cong ambush. Shock from sudden contact with dirt paralyzes him for critical seconds. Short fight ends with knockout. Leave bound doctor waist deep in bog mud, let him reflect on vicissitudes of fate. Note this time reads, cleanliness not always key to health. Marcus Stone is more difficult. Brothers almost never separate, but I managed to lure him to northern bunker. Use found chemicals to create smoke screen. Thick white smoke quickly fills the room. In zero visibility conditions, his combat skills are useless. 3 precise strikes, and another hunter out of the game. Where one is, there's the other. Waiting for visit, I write on wall with spray paint. Catching Matthew requires patience. He finds brother after an hour and goes into rage. Starts rushing around island, ignoring Craig's orders. Emotions enemy of professional. Lure him into trap near eastern warehouses. Fishing line stretched at ankle level. Camouflaged pit, improvised noose. Classic partisan warfare. Brotherly love deserves respect, but not in war. Leave note on his chest. By evening only Craig, Valkyrie and Technician Bug remain from original team. Last communications I intercept are full of panic. Base, this is Valkyrie. Lost visual contact with all operatives. Repeat, all units out of communication. Calm down, Craig's voice sounds strangely detached. Continue observation from current position. Sir, recommend retreat and regrouping. Target clearly using guerrilla tactics. Negative, plan remains unchanged. Something's wrong here. Craig reacts too calmly to loss of team, as if this is part of some bigger plan. Decide to test a hunch. Head to technical center in administrative building basement. If my suspicions are correct, there should be opportunity to intercept Craig's external communications. I penetrate through ventilation shaft. In server room emergency power still works. Connect Bug's trophy tablet to one of ports. After half hour of manipulating access codes, manage to break protection. Video stream appears on screen. What I see stops my breath. Catherine. She sits in luxuriously furnished room resembling golden cage. On laptop, she's clearly working on some files. Suddenly raises head as if sensing observation and looks directly at camera. In her eyes, not cold calculation of betrayer, but desperation and fear. She gestures to laptop, then folds hands in prayer gesture. Message clear. She's doing something secretly, possibly gathering information against consortium. Connection cuts off as suddenly as it began. But I already understand the main thing. Catherine didn't betray me. She's same prisoner as I am. New data changes everything. This isn't just hunt for entertainment. Craig and Hawks are playing more complex game, where Catherine and I are pawns on their board. Time to change game rules once and for all. Night descends on the island, bringing fog from the ocean. Ideal conditions for what I've planned. I sit on a branch of an old oak half a kilometer from the central building, watching the remaining hunters' movements through Ghost's captured thermal imager. Valkyrie is still at her post, but her movements have become nervous, jerky. A professional sniper turns into a cornered beast when she loses control of the situation. Bug has barricaded himself in the command post, surrounding himself with monitors and sensors. And Craig disappeared from view an hour ago. Suddenly his voice sounds in the earpiece calm, almost melancholic. "Mr. Mason, I assume you can hear me. Since you've intercepted our communications, let's talk frankly, without witnesses." I remain silent, trying to pinpoint the signal source. But Craig is using some clever retransmitter. The signal bounces all over the island. "Your silence speaks louder than words," he continues. "You're probably wondering, why, having paid millions for the right to kill you, am I so calm about losing my team? The answer is simple. It was part of the plan." "Damn, I thought so." "You see, Jake, let me call you by name. Our meeting is not accidental. A year ago you were supposed to kill me by General Hawk's order, but the assignment was a fiction. Hawks used you to stage an assassination attempt and strengthen his position in the consortium." I clench my fists. The puzzle pieces begin to fall into place. I survived and began my own investigation. What I discovered shocked even me, a seasoned cynic. Hawks is not just a consortium member, he's one of its founders. All these years he used the Ghosts unit as a personal army of killers, eliminating competitors and undesirables. A pause. I hear Craig lighting a cigar, a habit I remember from the dossier. "Your wife accidentally discovered part of the truth. Hawks took her hostage, used her as bait. The plan was simple: force you to carry out a suicide mission, declare you dead, then sell you at auction as an exotic lot. And Catherine, they planned to dispose of her after the operation's completion." My throat goes dry, so Catherine really is in danger. I intervened at the last moment. The wedding was staged, the only way to get Catherine out from under Hawk's control. By officially becoming my wife, she gained certain immunity, and buying you at auction. That was the only way to give you a chance. I can't hold back. A chance at what? To die in 72 hours from the collar explosion. "A chance to destroy the consortium from within," Craig replies. "In the central bunker, there's a transmitter capable of sending a distress signal on frequency Alpha Zulu 9. Your friend Marcus Reynolds has been monitoring this frequency for the past 6 months. Marcus is alive. My partner officially listed as killed in Syria." "You have 40 hours left," Craig continues. "The access code to the transmitter is the date of your real wedding to Catherine, and the collar deactivation code. Only one person knows it, and that person is now flying here on a private jet." "Hawks, I guess." "Exactly. He'll arrive in 12 hours supposedly for inspection. In reality, to personally confirm your death. but we'll prepare him a surprise, won't we? The connection cuts off. I sit on the tree, digesting the information. If Craig is telling the truth and instinct suggests he is, then this whole hunt was a grand spectacle, a way to lure Hawks out of his fortress. I climb down from the tree. A plan begins to form in my head. Need to reach the transmitter, contact Marcus, prepare a trap for Hawks. And all this while avoiding Valkyrie, who clearly isn't aware of the operation's true purpose. I check the timer on the collar, 39:17:42. The clock is ticking. First, I need to neutralize Valkyrie. She's a top-class professional and not aware of Craig's true plan, which means she'll shoot to kill. Approaching an experienced sniper in open terrain is suicide. Need an unconventional approach. I remember an old trick from Afghanistan. Find a young birch in the forest, bend the trunk and fix it. Load the improvised catapult with a bundle of dry branches and rags soaked in machine oil from a found canister. Light it and release. The burning bundle flies in an arc directly onto the administrative building's roof. The effect is instantaneous. Valkyrie jumps up, turns her rifle toward the source of the attack. At this moment, I'm already running from the opposite side, using the blind zone in her field of view. I climb the fire escape, silently like a cat. She's still scanning the forest for threats when I'm 3 meters behind her. Jump and we both fly off the roof. In flight, I manage to turn her under me. The landing knocks the wind out of her. I finish with a precise strike to the solar plexus. "Nothing personal," I whisper, tying her up. "You just happen to be on the wrong side of history." The technician remains. Bug has holed up in his electronic cocoon, but I have a trump card, his personal communicator. I send a message supposedly from his girlfriend. "Ramon, Mia's in trouble. Urgently need money for surgery." The reaction is predictable. Bug panics, tries to contact the mainland, violating radio silence protocol. I'm already waiting for him at the backup transmitter. Short skirmish and the last hunter is neutralized. Now the path to the central bunker is clear. I descend the concrete stairs, lighting the way with a tactical flashlight. Massive steel door with code lock. I enter our wedding date with Catherine, June 14, 2018. The lock clicks. Behind the door, Cold War-era command center. Rows of outdated computers, maps on walls, radios. And in the center, powerful radio transmitter with antenna going through the ceiling. I turn on the power. Screens come alive showing satellite data. Tune to frequency Alpha Zulu 9. Deep breath and begin transmission. Phoenix calling Odyssey. Repeat, Phoenix calling Odyssey. Confirmation code, Valkyrie 77 Bravo. Silence, then static crackle and familiar voice. Odyssey here. Damn it, Jake, you're alive. Marcus, listen carefully. I don't have much time. Coordinates. I transmit data about the island, situation, plan. Marcus confirms he's with a group of former ghosts ready for operation. Just need to wait for Hawks and take him alive. Suddenly monitors show approaching aircraft. Too early. Hawks should have hours left before arrival. I run outside. In the pre-dawn sky descends an unfamiliar helicopter. From speakers sounds voice. Lot 27, this is Consortium Security Service. Hunt protocol violation detected. Remain in place for verification. Trap or Hawks decided to arrive incognito. Either way, nowhere to retreat. Check weapons and prepare for meeting. Helicopter lands, door opens and I see Craig, alive and unharmed. Next to him, Catherine, my Catherine. She jumps to the ground and runs to me. I hug her, feeling familiar smell of hair, heartbeat. "Forgive me," she whispers. "I wanted to tell everything, but they threatened you." "Touching reunion," Craig interrupts. "But we have a problem. Hawks discovered our plan. He won't come himself, instead activated protocol cleansing. In an hour, the island will be hit by missile strike." "And the collar?" I ask, feeling the ground slip away. "Only Hawks knows the deactivation code, but there's another way." Craig takes out device resembling tablet from pocket. Experimental signal jammer. Can temporarily block detonation command. Will last couple hours, enough to fly away and find way to remove collar surgically. What about consortium, Hawks? Marcus already knows. He has all evidence Catherine gathered. Hawks will be taken when attempting to flee. Consortium will fall. I look at timer, 38:42:15. No choice. Turn on your jammer. Time to get out of here. Craig nods and activates device. Collar emits series of beeps, then falls silent. We run to helicopter. Already in air, I see cruise missile points appearing in distance. The island disappears in series of explosions. Arena 7 ceases to exist. But this is just the beginning. Consortium doesn't yet know what storm they've unleashed. I hug Catherine, looking out the window. Somewhere out there in the big world, Hawk still considers himself the winner. Soon he'll learn how cruelly mistaken he was. The hunt continues, only now the roles have changed permanently. The next 24 hours pass in feverish preparation. We land at a private airfield in Costa Rica, one of Craig's bases unknown to the consortium. A local surgeon, former military doctor without unnecessary questions, performs the most complex operation to remove the collar. 4 hours of jewelry-precise work, and I'm finally free from this damned device. While I recover from surgery, Catherine tells her part of the story. Turns out she began suspecting something wrong a year ago when she discovered strange transactions in Hawk's accounts. Delving into the investigation, she stumbled upon traces of the consortium. Hawks caught her and took her younger sister Sophie hostage, forcing her to play a role in his plan. The sham marriage with Craig was the only way to buy time, she explains, holding my hand. Vincent turned out to be an unexpected ally. He has his own scores with the consortium. They killed his brother 5 years ago. Meanwhile, Marcus coordinates a large-scale operation. Using Catherine's data, he identified the consortium's main bases worldwide. Former ghosts, operatives, surviving victims of the hunts, even some law enforcement personnel, all united for the final strike. On the third day comes news. Hawks caught attempting to flee to Switzerland. In his personal safe, they found dossiers on hundreds of people liquidated by consortium order. Among them, politicians, journalists, activists. The scandal gains momentum. Craig organizes a press conference where he releases video recordings from the hunts. World public in shock. Mass arrests of consortium members begin. Multi-billion-dollar assets frozen. The empire of evil collapses like a house of cards. A month later, I testify at a closed Senate hearing. I tell everything about the ghosts, about Hawks, about the arena. My testimony becomes the final nail in the consortium's coffin. Epilogue. 6 months have passed. Catherine and I live in a small house on the Oregon coast. Officially, I'm dead safer for everyone. Craig provided us with new documents and financial support. Sometimes at night I wake up in cold sweat, feeling the phantom weight of the collar on my neck. Catherine hugs me, whispers that it's all over, but we both know such wounds never fully heal. Marcus regularly sends encrypted messages. The hunt for consortium remnants continues. Some members went underground, trying to revive the organization. But now we know their methods, their weaknesses. This morning I received a letter without return address. Inside, photograph, group of men and women in military uniform against backdrop of snowy mountains. Among them I recognize several former Lots who were rescued. On the back, short inscription, Project Phoenix launched, awaiting coordinator. I show the photo to Catherine. She nods understandingly. You have to do this. They need a leader. That evening I send reply, Phoenix returning. A new hunt begins, but now we hunt the hunters, and this time until complete victory. Somewhere far away, in dark offices and secret bunkers, former masters of the world still make plans for revenge. They don't know that vengeance is already on their trail. My name is Jake Mason. A year ago I died. Today I rise from the ashes, and woe to those who stand in my way. Chapter 4: Truth and Vengeance. With the neutralized mercenaries' communication equipment, my operational efficiency increases exponentially. Now I not only listen to all team communications, but also intercept part of their digital traffic. Among the array of encrypted data transmitted through secure channels, my attention is drawn to an anomaly: Craig's hidden communication channel with the mainland. It's impossible to fully hack it without specialized equipment, but I discover a vulnerability in the video transmission protocol. For interception, I need a stable point with a strong signal. I remember the underground command center. There should be everything necessary. I make my way there along the familiar route through the tunnel network. In the server room, among humming emergency power equipment, I find what I was looking for: a military terminal with satellite antenna. I connect Bug's modified communicator to the system. After an hour of fine-tuning frequencies, intermittent image appears on screen. What I see knocks the ground from under my feet. Catherine. My Catherine in a luxurious room resembling a gilded prison cell. Expensive Art Deco furniture, paintings in heavy frames, crystal chandeliers, and surveillance cameras in every corner. Windows are barred with ornate grills, turning the mansion into an elegant cage. Catherine sits on the edge of a canopied bed. In her hands she clutches my military tags, the same ones I gave her before my last mission. "Lucky charm," I said then. "So you always come back," she answered. Her lips move silently in prayer or conversation with someone not present. With me, her face is twisted with pain and despair. This is not the cold mask of a betrayer they showed me at the auction. This is the face of a woman who has lost everything. Suddenly she starts and hides the tags. With a quick, practiced movement she approaches an antique secretary and presses a hidden mechanism in the carving. A secret compartment opens, from which she takes a flash drive and laptop hidden from surveillance cameras. Her fingers fly over the keyboard. Documents, photos, tables flash on screen. She's clearly working with a large data array. I manage to notice familiar faces in the photos: Hawks with unknown people in expensive suits, Craig at some official reception, consortium symbols. Catherine copies something to an external server, constantly glancing at the door. She's gathering evidence. Against whom? The consortium, Hawks, Craig. The door suddenly opens. Catherine lightning fast closes the laptop and hides it back in the secret compartment. Hawks enters the room in an impeccable military uniform with general stars. Catherine's face changes instantly. A mask of indifferent politeness hides true emotions. She's a professional actress, or a woman who has learned to survive in a world of predators. Hawk says something, gesticulating. Catherine nods, feigning attention. At one point he turns to the window and she throws a quick glance at the camera. In this glance, a plea for help. The connection cuts off. I sit in the server room's semi-darkness, trying to comprehend what I've seen. Catherine is not a traitor. She's a hostage, possibly blackmailed with threats to me. And she's playing her own game, gathering dirt on the consortium. This changes everything. My mission is no longer about surviving on the island. I must escape from here and save Catherine. But how? The collar is still on me, and less than 40 hours remain until detonation. Suddenly an epiphany comes. If Catherine has access to Consortium's secret data, perhaps there's information about the Cerberus system deactivation codes, control frequencies, technical specifications. Need to find a way to contact her. I study the command center's capabilities. Most systems are outdated, but basic functions work. Find encrypted communication module with output to civilian satellites. If I can disguise the signal as ordinary internet traffic. I work feverishly, remembering cybersecurity lessons. Create a chain of proxy servers, Disguise outgoing signal as antivirus database update. Type in email address Catherine and I used for emergency communication. The message is short. Phoenix alive. Needs Cerberus specifications. Coordinates attached. Signature code phrase known only to us two. Send and wait. Minutes stretch like hours. Finally, reply comes. Pray for a miracle. See you soon. File attached to letter. Open. It's fragment of technical documentation for Cerberus system. Incomplete, but sufficient to understand operating principle. And most importantly, mention of emergency deactivation protocol via satellite channel. I have a chance. Tiny, almost impossible, but there. Suddenly Center's security systems come alive. Red lights flash, siren activates. On monitor appears warning. Unauthorized connection detected. Isolation protocol activation. I grab flash drive with data and rush to exit. Armored doors begin closing. Slip through at last moment, feeling doors brush my back. Run through tunnel, hearing stomps and shouts behind. Seems my foray didn't go unnoticed, but now it doesn't matter. I have information. I have a plan. And I know Catherine is waiting for rescue. Emerging from the tunnel, I find myself a kilometer from the central complex, in dense pine forest. Night envelops the island in impenetrable darkness, but I'm grateful for this natural camouflage. In the communicator earpiece, I hear fragments of conversations. A detected signal in Sector G7. Server room perimeter breach. Craig ordered to find him at any cost. So they know about my penetration. Need to act quickly. Take out flash drive with Catherine's data, connect to Bug's trophy tablet. Technical documentation of Cerberus system opens eyes to many things. The collar is not just an explosive device. It's a complex system including GPS tracker, biometric sensors, microphone, and even microdosing dispenser with neurotoxin. But most interesting mention of emergency deactivation protocol, Omega. According to documentation, each collar has unique deactivation code consisting of two parts, static prefix and dynamic key. Prefix frostbite, already known. Dynamic key is generated based on wearer's biometric data. Problem is that to activate protocol need access to consortium satellite channel and special device, Cerberus key. Where to look for it? Logic suggests, with whoever controls entire operation. Suddenly puzzle pieces fall into complete picture. Craig didn't just buy me at auction. He's the only one on the island who could have Cerberus key. His strange behavior, secret negotiations, reluctance to aggressively pursue me, all point to hidden motives. Decision comes instantly. Need to make direct contact with Craig, but not as victim, rather as equal player possessing information. I tune communicator to frequency he used for private negotiations. Craig, this is Mason. Propose meeting. Without weapons, without witnesses. I have information about Hawks that will interest you. Silence, then static and his voice, curious. What do you know about the general? Enough to understand. We're on the same side of the barricades. Meeting place old lighthouse on Northern Cape. In 1 hour. I disconnect, not waiting for response. Lighthouse perfect place. Open terrain, good overview, one entrance. If it's a trap, I'll have advantage. Reach lighthouse in 40 minutes. Stone tower rises above rocky shore like ancient guardian. Inside spiral staircase leading to observation deck. Climb, checking every corner. Wait, 10 minutes later hear footsteps. Craig appears alone, without weapons, in simple hiking clothes. Climbs unhurriedly, demonstrating absence of hostile intentions. You exceeded all expectations, Mr. Mason, he says, coming onto deck. Neutralizing my entire team in several hours. Impressive. Let's skip compliments. What's really happening? And don't try to lie, I intercepted your communication with Catherine. Craig smirks. So you already know part of the truth. Fine, I'll tell the rest. But first, your collar. I suppose you guessed I have the deactivation key. I nod, controlling emotions. He takes device size of smartphone from pocket. Cerberus system, my development. I created it for Consortium Order 5 years ago. Back then I didn't know what they'd use it for. Approaches closer, activates device. Collar emits series of beeps, then there's a click. Heavy metal falls on stone floor with dull sound. I'm free. Why? I ask, rubbing neck. Because Hawks destroyed my family. My brother was killed in one of the hunts 3 years ago. I began investigation and discovered the general is one of Consortium founders. All these years he used ghosts as personal executioners. Craig turns to Ocean. Your mission to eliminate me was a setup. Hawks wanted to get rid of us both, me as competitor in Consortium, you as witness who knows too much. But I survived and decided to strike back. And Catherine, she became my ally by necessity. Hawks holds her sister in private clinic, using as leverage. Fictitious marriage was only way to ensure her relative safety and access to information. And now what? Craig takes out satellite phone. Now we finish what we started. Hawks arrives in 6 hours. I convinced him you're dying and he must personally witness your demise. But instead we'll prepare him a surprise. You have a plan. Of course. Your friend Marcus Reynolds is alive and ready for operation. We have dossiers on all Consortium members gathered by Catherine. Just need to lure Hawks into trap and broadcast his confession to whole world. I look at man I was supposed to kill, who bought right to kill me, and who now offers alliance against common enemy. Irony of fate. I agree, but after this Catherine returns to me. Of course, she always loved only you. Our marriage was fiction from the start. I extend hand, Craig shakes it, alliance concluded. Now the real hunt begins, and this time we'll be hunting the general. The next 5 hours we spend in feverish preparation for Hawk's capture operation. Craig reveals details of the plan he'd been developing for months. Consortium base, an old bomb shelter under the island, secret access codes, hidden camera locations. He thought of everything down to smallest details. Hawks will arrive at dawn under guise of inspection, Craig explains, unfolding detailed map of underground complex. With him will be personal guard, 6 people, all former ghosts. They're fanatically loyal to him. Familiar faces, I ask. Possibly. Cerberus team, elite unit for special assignments. You might have crossed paths with them in Syria. Memory helpfully provides recollections. Operation in Aleppo, strange people in black uniforms without identification marks who appeared after cleanup and took several prisoners. We were told it was CIA. Now I understand they were Consortium executioners. We have advantage, Craig continues. They consider you neutralized and me, an ally, will use element of surprise. We develop plan down to smallest details. I'll take sniper position in ventilation shaft above conference hall. Craig will meet Hawks as gracious host and lure into prepared trap. Signal for attack will be phrase, operation completed successfully. What about broadcast? I ask. How will we prove Hawks' involvement to the world? Craig takes out miniature device. Quantum direct action transmitter. Signal will go through satellite networks simultaneously to all major media channels. Hawks will confess everything himself. People become surprisingly candid at gunpoint. An hour before General's arrival I take position. Ventilation shaft narrow but view perfect. Below, oval mahogany table, leather chairs, wall screens. Everything ready for final act of drama. Check weapons, bug silenced pistol and ghost's knife. Not much, but enough for sudden attack. Main thing, choose right moment. Hear approaching helicopter hum. Show begins. 10 minutes later Hawks and his entourage enter hall. General looks exactly as I remember. Perfect bearing, graying temples, steel gaze. Man I trusted more than my own father. man who betrayed everything I believed in. Craig meets guests with impeccable host smile. General, glad to see you. Operation went even better than we planned. Where's the body? Hawks asks without preamble. Mason's still alive, but it's matter of hours. I thought you'd want to personally attend the finale. You thought correctly. This upstart created too many problems. Where is he? In medical block under observation. But first I'd like to discuss some organizational issues. Hawks nods and sits at head of table. His men take positions around hall perimeter, professionals constantly scanning space. But they don't look up. Critical mistake. So, Craig begins, consortium satisfied with auction results. 8.5 million record sum. Think it's time to expand business. Don't rush, Hawks replies. First need to solve information leak problem. Someone's passing data to journalists. Oh, I've already solved that problem, Craig smiles. Mole found and neutralized. At this moment hall doors swing open. Catherine enters alive, unharmed in strict business suit. In hands she holds folder with documents. Hawk's face hardens. What does this mean? It means, General, the game is over. Craig pronounces the sacramental phrase. I shoot twice. 2 guards fall silently. Jump down, land on table before stunned Hawks. 4 more shots, remaining bodyguards out of commission. Hello, General, I say, pressing pistol to his temple. Miss me. Hawks looks at me with cold fury. Mason, should have killed you back in Afghanistan. Too late, but you have chance to atone. Tell our viewers about consortium. Craig activates quantum transmitter. Live broadcast worldwide. General, your star moment. Next 20 minutes Hawks talks about consortium creation 20 years ago, about hundreds killed in hunts, about corruption, blackmail, power trading. Names, dates, accounts, he reveals everything. When broadcast ends, Marcus bursts into hall with squad of former ghosts. They take Hawks into custody. You're making mistake, Mason, General hisses. Consortium stronger than you think. They'll find you. Let them try, I reply and turn to Catherine. She throws herself on my neck. I hug her, feeling tension of recent days leaving. We're together again. We're alive. We're free. Craig approaches us. Helicopter waiting. Better disappear for some time. Consortium won't forgive such blow. And you? I have my own scores with this organization. War just beginning. We exchange handshake. Strange alliance born of common enemy. Perhaps someday our paths will cross again. An hour later, Catherine and I rise into air. Island disappears beyond horizon. Ahead, new life, new names, new trials. But we're together, and that's what matters. Somewhere out there in big world, consortium empire crumbles. Arrests, scandals, revelations, we launch chain reaction that can't be stopped. Death arenas closing one by one. Victims getting chance for justice. I won my hunt, but no real battle just beginning. 3 months have passed since our escape from the island. Catherine and I settled in a small coastal town in Maine, under new names, Thomas and Sarah Mitchell. Officially, I died a second time, this time in a tragic accident during prisoner Hawks transportation. Craig took care of a believable cover story. Life gradually settles into a peaceful routine. I work as a survival instructor at the local tourist center, Irony of Fate. Catherine writes a book about our story under a pseudonym. We heal wounds, physical and emotional. But the past doesn't let go. News comes regularly, through encrypted communication channels Marcus provides. The consortium has fallen but hasn't disappeared. Like the Hydra from ancient myths, new heads grow where the old ones were cut off. Arrests of high-ranking organization members, confiscation of billions in assets, closure of illegal arenas. All this is just the visible part of the iceberg. Craig wages his own war. Using insider information, he methodically destroys remnants of the evil empire. His methods are cruel but effective. Sometimes I receive short messages from him. Arena in Brazil liquidated. Bank accounts in Switzerland frozen. Hunt organizer in South Africa found dead. Hawks serves life sentence in maximum security prison. At trial, he tried to portray himself as a patriot defending country's interests, but evidence was irrefutable. The general, hero of 3 wars, turned out to be a monster trading in human lives. One cloudy October morning comes knock at door. I open. Marcus stands on doorstep, aged, tired, but with same fire in eyes. "Need your help, Jake," he says without preliminaries. Information about new organization emerged. Call themselves Phoenix, gathering consortium fragments, reviving business. "I'm out," I reply, but we both know it's not true. Catherine appears behind me. "He'll go, we both will." I look at her surprised. She smiles. Think I can sit idly, knowing these creatures started hunting people again. I have personal scores with them. Marcus nods. "Pack your things, departing in 3 hours." Thus begins new chapter of our story. We're no longer victims, we're hunters. And our goal is not just to survive, but to destroy evil in its cradle. On plane, Marcus tells details. Phoenix operates more cunningly than predecessors. No centralized structure, no permanent bases. They use Darknet for organizing hunts, cryptocurrency for payments, disposable locations for running games. "We have lead," says Marcus. "Former consortium member willing to cooperate in exchange for protection. He knows where and when next hunt will occur." Plan: infiltrate, document, liquidate, like in good old days. I smile. Good old days when we believed we fought for righteous cause, not suspecting betrayal in our own ranks. Now everything's different. We fight for ourselves, for others like us, for right to live in world without death arenas. Operation goes successfully. We track organizers, gather evidence, free potential victims. Phoenix turns out not so fireproof. After this follow other missions. We become something like Vengeance Squad, former agents, former victims, united by common goal. Catherine handles intelligence and coordination. I handle field operations. Marcus liaises with authorities in countries where we operate. War with shadows continues. Sometimes we win, sometimes suffer defeats, but each saved life, each closed arena is small victory over darkness. In rare moments of peace, when Catherine and I sit on veranda of our temporary shelter looking at stars, I think about strange twist of fate. From professional killer I turned into protector. From hunter of people into hunter for justice. Sometimes at night I still feel phantom weight of collar on neck. But now it's not nightmare but reminder. Reminder that evil exists and that someone must fight it. My name is Jake Mason. Officially I'm dead, but in reality I'm more alive than ever. And as long as there are those who turn human life into entertainment for rich psychopaths, I'll hunt. This is my arena. This is my hunt. And it won't end until last organizer of bloody games gets what they deserve. 1 year has passed since the fall of the consortium. A year of continuous war with shadows. We've liquidated 17 underground organizations, freed over 100 potential victims, delivered terabytes of compromising information to authorities. But the Hydra proved resilient. 2 new heads grew for each one cut off. Today we're in Hong Kong, tracking a major player, Chinese billionaire Li Weidong, who revived the idea of hunts under a new brand, Dragon Games. Instead of islands, he uses abandoned industrial complexes. Instead of collars, implanted chips with neurotoxin. I sit in a hotel room overlooking the harbor, studying documents Catherine obtained. Suddenly, alarm signal sounds on laptop. Emergency message from Marcus. Return immediately. Craig missing. Last known location, Switzerland. Reason to believe he's been kidnapped. We exchange glances with Catherine. Over the past year, Craig became, if not friend, then reliable ally. His resources and connections saved our lives more than once. 12 hours later, we're in Zurich. Marcus meets us at Safe House. Craig was investigating financial flows of former consortium, found trail leading to some architect, shadow puppeteer behind whole organization. Communication cut off 3 days ago. Leads. Only this. Marcus hands over flash drive. Craig managed to send encrypted file before disappearing. We cracked the cipher, its coordinates of castle in Alps in one word. Endgame. The castle turns out to be real 12th century fortress, retrofitted with latest technology. We penetrate at night, using old mine shafts in the rock. What we discover inside shocks us. Huge hall styled as medieval throne room. Walls hung with monitors broadcasting recordings of all hunts for past 20 years. In center, throne on which sits General Hawks. Surprised, he smirks. You didn't think it was so simple. Turns out arrest and trial were staged. Person in prison double. Real Hawks all this time pulled strings, watching us destroy competitors of his new, improved organization. Thanks for work done, Mason. You cleared market of amateurs. Now I can start anew but without mistakes. At this moment, beaten Craig is brought from side door. Behind him appear armed men, faces hidden by masks, but from bearing I recognize former ghosts. You have choice, Hawks continues. Join me or die, what say you? Instead of answer, I throw smoke grenade. In resulting chaos, firefight begins. Catherine covers me while I free Craig. Marcus secures retreat path. Fight fierce but short. We lose 3 of our people. Hawks escapes again, this time on private helicopter. In destroyed throne room, I find documents revealing true scale of conspiracy. Consortium was just tip of iceberg. Behind it stands whole network of organizations controlling shadow economy, arms trade, drug trafficking. And all obey the architect figure whose real name even Hawks doesn't know. At dawn we leave burning castle. Craig, despite wounds, full of determination. Now we know the enemy, time to strike back. Next month's turn into global chess game. Us against invisible empire. Each move calculated, each operation part of bigger plan. Gradually we begin pressing the enemy. Financial flows shut down, criminal schemes collapse, regional bosses fall one by one. The architect forced to come out of shadows. Final battle occurs where it all began, on Island Arena 7. Turns out it wasn't destroyed, but mothballed for special circumstances. We land at dawn. 12 of us veterans of dozens of operations. Against us, architect's personal guard, elite of mercenary world. Battle lasts 6 hours. Gradually advance to central bunker. There, in control hall, we meet him, the man behind all masks. Architect turns out to be old man in wheelchair. Former CIA director, officially dead 20 years ago. You don't understand, he wheezes. Consortium was necessary. We controlled chaos, directed violence into safe channels. Without us, world will plunge into anarchy. No, I reply, world will become cleaner. Last shot echoes in bunker, it's over. Epilogue comes 6 months later. We're again in our house in Maine. War over, at least this war. Catherine pregnant. Life goes on. But sometimes, looking at ocean, I think about price of victory. About fallen friends, broken fates, scars that will never heal. On mantle stands framed photograph, our team after last operation. Living and dead, heroes and victims. We made world a little better. Probably that's what matters. My name is Jake Mason. I survived hell and returned to destroy it. And now finally can say, mission accomplished. But if somewhere they again start turning human life into game, I'll be ready. Because once becoming hunter for justice, you can't stop. This is my story. Story of betrayal and loyalty, cruelty and mercy, darkness and light. Story that even in blackest hell one can remain human. And that hope dies last. If you enjoyed this story, support the author with a like, subscribe to the channel and share your emotions in the comments. Thank you.